welcome everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, which is an overview of SB 77 Section 58, which is now called the Educator Effectiveness Funding Program. I'm Corey Linton, Chief Business Development Officer at School Improvement Network, and it's my pleasure to be the moderator for today's webinar. For those of you who don't know about School Improvement Network, we're a nationally recognized professional learning organization that provides online, on-demand professional development resources to educators. We were founded in 1991 by two teachers, and since then we've been researching and documenting best practices in education and using that expertise to help districts and schools achieve their strategic goals. Currently we're in all 50 states, and we partner with over 13,000 schools and provide professional learning support to over 1 million educators. And we support the learning of about 1 million students worldwide. So we're really excited to have you here today and really appreciate your time, the time out of your busy schedules. So before we get started, let me say that we had about 100 educators sign up for today's webinar, and including superintendents, assistant superintendents, executive directors and directors, chief academic officers, principals, area coordinators, teachers, and many more. So we have a wide range of roles participating with us today, which is fantastic. And by the way, we know your time is valuable, so we'll give you a quick overview of the Educator Effectiveness Funding Program, and we don't expect the presentation to go much over 20 minutes, and we'll leave time at the end for Q&A. So I'd like to introduce our presenter for today's webinar. Christina Erland Culver is the president of EdNexus Advisors, a Washington, D.C.-based education policy and advisory firm that provides strategic counsel on federal, state, and local laws that impact teacher and student education success. And Christina has been an advocate for K-12 education for over 25 years, and her experience includes having served at the U.S. Department of Education as an Assistant Secretary for Intergovernmental Affairs, where she oversaw federal and state education policy and implementation. So we're very lucky to have Christina today, and she'll be walking us through this program, helping us to better understand the contents of this section and sharing with us insights on the bill that she has learned from her interactions with the California Department of Education. So Christina, I will turn it over to you.
Well, terrific. Thank you, Corey. I'm delighted to be here and with so many educators and leaders who've logged on to hear more about this program. Now that it's fall and everyone's getting going, it's really kind of time to buckle down and start thinking about how we can take advantage of this program that has been launched by the California Department of Education. I think many of you have heard about this. It was originally passed as SB 77, Section 58, back in June. And over the summer, there was a number of conversations and work done to make sure that it was ready to be implemented in the state of California. And so that, I have a freeze on my screen. I'm going to go to the next slide. There we go. And so that has been memorialized in late September into the Assembly Bill 104, Section 58, Chapter 13, as well as the Senate Bill 103, Chapter 324. You always have to leave it up to state legislatures to make things really complicated to find them. So we've put this here as for you as well, which you can also find the link on the CDE, Department of Education, to actually get exact bill language. But now it's the bill is memorialized in these numbers and will no longer be tracked as SB 77, Section 58. And it is now called the Educator Effectiveness Funding Program for 2015-2016. So as many of you are eagerly anticipating, it's $490 million directed directly to professional development to be used for coaching, support services, support teachers during teacher induction programs, and to ensure that we are making sure that teachers who have been rated in needing improvement, that they can receive excellent resources and team coaching to improve their practice. So the timing of this funding, it will be a one-time block grant to be spent over 3 years. Like I said, it's designed to create a culture of support for teachers. It's designed to also provide an immediate boost to support content standards and teaching excellence, so that the state of California teachers in the classrooms can have this necessary supports as they push through on California state content standards. And this was also designed to backfill and renew support after previous cutbacks during the recession. So who is eligible? School districts, county offices of education, charter schools, and state special schools with full-time equivalent certified staff are eligible to receive these funds. Staff from regional occupational centers and joint powers of agency are not included. However, the funding can be used within any of these school district, county office entities, charter schools, state special schools that have administrators, teachers, leaders, paraprofessional educators. The funding is designed for everyone. It's just the funding allocations are established using full-time equivalents. So part-time equivalent teachers will absolutely, and teachers who have not yet been certified as teachers are intended to receive the support. The funding is just calculated based on full-time equivalent certified teachers in these school entities. The amount has finally been calculated to be $1,466 for full-time equivalent certified staff members, and this was established using the CalPAD submissions of districts for the 2014-2015 fiscal school year. For those school districts who had issues or may have had discrepancies with their CalPADS reports, they would have been already contacted by the State Department of Education to sort out those numbers and to make sure that they got their final CalPADS reports clarified, so that you would know exactly how many FTE equivalent calculated equivalents for that $1,466. Any school districts that believe they may still have discrepancies will not be counted, or it's past the deadline to do that. However, according to this, the CDE website, you may contact the CDE and ask questions. However, they are not accepting any more amendments to their CalPADS reporting. So the CDE plans to issue the first apportionment of funds, which will be 80%, in December of 2015. The second amount will be released. The remaining 20% will come in March 2016. The funds may be expended immediately for the 2015-2016 school year. You can spend them through 2018. There is absolutely no indicator or intention for it to be spread out evenly, or for you to determine how you want to expend those funds over 3 years. It just must be expended over the 3 years. So you could spend it all at once in one lump sum, or spread it out over time. A final expenditure report will be due at the end of the 2017-2018 school year, and anything that is not expended by June 30th, 2018 must be returned to the CDE. So there's 4 critical criteria for spending, and the CDE and the intention of the California State Legislature cannot emphasize enough that you must commit your funding to these 4 criteria. It's beginning teacher and administrator support and induction. It can be PD, coaching, and support for teachers identified as needing improvement. It can be PD for teachers and administrators aligned to content standards. So if you're working on implementing rigorous high content standards for your schools, this is a great way to spend these resources. General support for educator quality and effectiveness, including training or mentoring, coaching certified staff. So they've put it in these 4 criteria. Obviously, many of these 4 criteria overlap in many ways, but these are the specific intentions for the funding. So what does it take to actually spend these dollars? There is not a lot of criteria, and that is done intentionally, not criteria, but requirements for spending these funds. It's intentionally done to make it easy for you to spend the resources. You need to develop and adopt a plan for spending the funds, present the plan in a public meeting before its adoption, basically at your school board, and then allow for a second meeting for the school board or the community public to respond. 3, you need to submit a report detailing your expenditures at the end of the program. And finally, you may actually commit the funds now in anticipation of receiving them in December. If you are a core district, for example, where you've received waivers from the U.S. Department of Education, you already will have worked through your teacher effectiveness plan already. You may already have if you're a non-core school district, you may also have a teacher effectiveness plan ready, and so that is fine. You can just start allocating these funds and committing to professional development programs to support your teacher effectiveness programs. You do not have to wait for these funds to be released, and you just need to make sure that you are notifying and presenting your plan to your next school board meeting. One of the things emphasized in the statute is to make sure that your funding is coordinated with Title II funds and other teaching resources as outlined in the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001. So again, any federal funding that comes through to you, whether it's Title II, IDEA, rural funds, anything that you receive that comes through that's in support of, that has allowable uses of funds for teacher professional development, the intention is for you to coordinate this alongside those funds. And finally, we just wanted to point out that there are now established best practices in professional learning that are highly emphasized in the upcoming ESEA reauthorization of the No Child Left Behind Act. And those that information we are very eager to share with you beyond this presentation. Learning Forward, the National Organization for Professional Development and Learning, has established their definitions of what professional learning is, that professional development must be collaborative, job-embedded, sustained, classroom-focused, and data-driven. And also there is a high emphasis now, not only from the Federal Department of Education, Congress, and local and state and local levels, that professional development and professional learning should be evidence-based and demonstrate a statistically significant effect on improving student outcomes or other relevant outcomes. So in anticipation of planning your professional development programs, this is the direction that you can anticipate or that you may already be implementing in your schools and in your districts. We're now ready for Q&A, and Corey, I'm going to turn it over to you to lead that, and let's see if we have any questions, and we're delighted to discuss any of the a number of ways that we can be supportive to you and with additional resources or questions around professional development and professional learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for that overview. That was great. Let's if you have questions, please type them in the GoToWebinar control panel you have, and then we'll answer each one. And so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type them. Okay, here's a question from Amanda. Is the funding available to private schools? Christina, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So Amanda, no, the funding is not available to private schools. It is only available to public schools with full-time equivalent certified teachers.
Okay, next question from Kelly. Could you please elaborate on the fourth allowable category? I find the wording a bit confusing. Christina, maybe you could pull that slide up again and we can elaborate more on that.
Sure.
So one of the things as Christina's doing that the department has really emphasized is that this is very much, they wanted to keep the restrictions on the funding as minimal as possible and really let the local districts and charter schools and county offices really determine the best way to spend the money. So that they're very much general guidelines. One of the questions we had asked the department directly was, when will you come out with guidelines for spending? And the response was, we're not going to release guidelines. The guidelines in the actual legislation, or as much direction as we're going to go, we're going to give so that we can give as much control to local entities as possible. So, Christina, can you pull up that slide?
I am pulling that up right now, and what I would like to do is I'm going to just read to you exactly from the Department of Education the language for number 4, which is to promote educator quality and effectiveness, including but not limited to training on mentoring and coaching certified staff and training certified staff to support effective teaching and learning.
So it's a pretty broad definition. Essentially, anything that will improve teacher quality and teacher effectiveness is an allowable use of the fund. And we actually, again, asked the department, are there specific things that are not going to be allowed? And they said as long as the local entity can show how what they're doing improves teacher quality and teacher effectiveness, then it's an allowable use of the funds. So again, a lot of flexibility in how you can spend the funding. So, and then we have a question. Okay, yeah. Question from Lisa. Is it possible to use the monies for salaries for an instructional coach to provide PE?
This funding is not intended to be used for salaries. But we can double check on that.
Yeah, and back to the other comment about local control of the funds, there's very much a strong drive to let local entities decide how to best use the money. So the key is being able to tie it to teacher quality and teacher effectiveness.
That's right. That's right. We can double check, but I don't think that salaries is an intention for the services, but we can find that out.
Yeah, we'll get more clarity on that. Another question from Lisa. How do we find out how much money will be allocated to my district? Okay, Christina, if you want to, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So if you go to the California Department of Education website, and I should have put that link on here, but we can provide that for you after the call. We can email forward that to you, where there's a full page of information that was just posted last week. And you will be able to go to a posted spreadsheet release that tells you exactly the amount of the total amount of dollars based on the FTEs at $14.66 per full-time equivalent certified teacher. And those charts are on the California website.
So the charts are there for every school district in the state?
Yes.
Okay. So that's great. And what we'll do is we'll email out a link to everybody after the call where those charts are available, so you can see exactly how much your education entity will receive. Another question from Melissa. Is there a specific template to use for the spending plan that needs to be approved by the board? So there is not a specific template. Again, the state is trying to give as little direction as possible. However, the School Improvement Network has created a number of template PD plans geared towards the funding, and we are actually willing to share those with anyone. If you're interested in seeing those, just please let us know, and we can arrange to get those to you. The plans are very well developed. They're very thoroughly researched, and they're designed according to the research that Learning Forward has done about effective professional development. And the plans include backup to the research and specific templates about rolling out an effective PD plan during the school year, focused on the different priorities of this funding. So there's one template focused on implementing the Common Core. There's a template focused on helping struggling teachers and leaders, and there's a template on helping new teachers and leaders, and another template on building a teacher effectiveness program in your school or district. So,
and of course,
so you don't have.
Oh, Corey, I was just going to jump in and say that as we've been supportive in helping develop this template, it's really designed to be customizable to your local needs, with a high number of resources that have not only been provided by the California Department of Education, but national organizations who focus on highly effective professional learning.
Yeah, thank you, Christina. And what we'll do is we'll email, in the follow-up email, we will include contact information so that you can get those templates from us. And they're really designed to be everything you need to implement a professional development plan, and all the information is there to present to the board. So it's really designed to be a turnkey template that you can use to quickly get up to speed and quickly start helping your teachers to impact kids this year. So another question from Lisa: where do we go to access the PowerPoint? That'll be part of the follow-up email that we'll send out. So we'll send everybody a link to the PowerPoint, and you'll be able to access everything in here. So thank you, Lisa. And then a question from Janet: can the funds be used to cover sub-costs for teachers to attend PD, or extra hourly pay for teachers to attend PD outside their contractual day, such as on evenings and Saturdays? Christina, do you want to take that one?
Sure. My understanding, again, is that this is not to pay for teachers' salaries or substitutes or overtime. That it's really designed for the actual service providers and teams to develop the resources necessary. However, we will get clarification on that, and we'll get right back to you.
Yeah. Okay, a question from Kelly: can the funds be used to pay teacher stipends to attend professional learning? Okay, similar to the last question. So
that's right.
And we'll get clarification on that. Question from Janet: can the funds be used to pay for outside experts to provide coaching support?
The answer to that is yes. I think the whole idea is that this funding is designed to bring experts in to do the training and the supports necessary to provide resources to manage your learning process, to give you personalized feedback to give teachers and leaders personalized feedback in their learning process, to create whether it's personalized seminars or personalized training, or group training, teamwork, boot camps, anything that is designed to bring teachers and leaders together to improve their profession.
Thanks, Christina. So we have a question from Janet. Can you give us examples of what allowable expenditures with these funds are to be used for? And Christina just gave some, but also I think again, a big driver from the legislature was that local entities determine the best way to use the funds. And so the state has really tried to limit giving any guidance because they want the local entities to really determine what's best for them. The templates we have a lot of different ways to use the funds, so I think that would be a great resource. Christina just gave some examples of ways that money can be used, but there is a lot of flexibility as long as you can tie the spending of those funds to teacher effectiveness. And I think another important intent of the bill is, because the reporting at the end of 3 years will be based on how many teachers and administrators and educators were impacted by the funding, they do expect this funding to really have broad reach over an entire system, and you know, for example, not necessarily just be focused on a very small group of teachers. The intention is to have impact across the system. And again, the templates we have provide examples of that, and how technology can be used to achieve some of that and have a much broader reach.
Right. So, and I think to add to that, Corey, you know, if specifically, it is designed to support teachers for where they are in their profession. And so, again, whether it's teacher induction or master teachers or teams of teachers who want to learn anything from how to be stronger at, you know, whether it's basic classroom management, project-based learning, any kind of thing that helps drive student learning and improves the teaching profession. It's resources and supports that enable teachers to learn, whether it's individually or together, to get the kinds of supports they need to master how to teach to content standards, how to teach to specific, you know, students with special needs. It could just be about anything that the school determines is necessary to improve student achievement.
Thanks, Christina. So any more questions? Okay, one more just came in. We often pay our teachers to design and deliver professional learning for their peers. Can these funds be used for that purpose, or is all extra pay to teachers not allowable?
Why don't we find that out? That is a great way of describing paying teachers. In other words, you're talking about incentives or additional resources for their time to design professional development for the needs of your school, and that's a great question. Let's find that out. There's really no indicator in any of the conversations we've had with the CDE or having reviewed all the information they've shared publicly on their websites and all their documentation. So we will get that to that, and also make sure that the CDE clarifies that in their frequently asked questions section, and see if they'll be willing to do that, to clarify all that information for all of you, and we'll get right back to you with a clarification as well, and we'll send that directly to you via email.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. That seems to be one of the common themes of questions is going to be spent on what kinds of activities can it be spent on. So, any other questions? Well, it looks like there are no more questions, and we're happy to stay on the line for a few minutes if anybody has additional questions. But it looks like they've mostly been answered by now. We very much appreciate your time, and we're excited for this spending from the California legislature, because it's a great investment in California educators to ultimately impact California students. And it's a fantastic thing, and you know, we believe it can have a real impact on kids. So, Christina, thanks for sharing these insights with us. The information has been super helpful. And thanks again to all of you educators who joined in today's webinar. We know you're busy. We do appreciate taking some time out to understand this as you begin to shape your plans around the Educator Effectiveness Funding Program. And just for your information, again, we have some templates that are available in the follow-up email we send. We will show you how to get those, and we'll also include a link to this PowerPoint, as well as any additional information that we can put together in terms of answering some of these questions. So thank you again, and we'll stay on the line for just a few minutes in case anybody has any last-minute questions that they want to answer.